What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris, man. We are here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Thursday, January 6th of 2022. I got another special guest that's coming on. Her name is Trenni K. And I'm going to call her Trenni K for right now because I don't want to butcher her last name because I definitely want to ask her how do you pronounce it. But she is an NBC Sports Boston sports reporter, anchor. She's worked for the Big Ten Network in the same role. She's also worked for the MLB Network and for the NFL Network as well. She's been an assignment editor. She's also been a sideline reporter. And once again, she's been a sports anchor and she's also been a sports reporter. So we definitely gonna get into her why of why she wanted to pursue sports journalism, ask her some fun questions, and get to know her a little bit because I love getting to know fellow journalists and new people. And not she's not new in the industry; she's actually pretty veteran in this. But I'm new, and I definitely love to connect with her. So without any further ado, I bring to you Miss Trenni. Trenni, how you
Hey
doing?
Chris, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. Just wanna say thank you for
Yeah, no
coming on
worries.
to my podcast. I really do appreciate it. It's good to see you. I love the glasses. I love the look.
Thanks. They're like blue light blocking, so because I stare at my computer all day and then I get headaches.
I can
They don't really
understand it.
serve much of a purpose other than that.
I understand that. That's totally fine. I have a job like that too. I'm actually transitioning because I just got my first job in the actual industry.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Where?
it's going to be in Minnesota. I'm going to be a sports writer at a
Oh, that's
publication.
great.
Yes.
Where? Which one?
It's called the Marshall Independent. So it's in
Uh,
Marshall, Minnesota. So it's about 2 hours away from Minneapolis.
Okay.
Yes. So
Are you
it's
ready? Are you ready for that? Where do you live now?
I live in Georgia.
You live in Georgia. Oh, are you ready for Minnesota?
A
Two
lot of
hours,
people
2 hours north or 2 hours south of Minneapolis?
Southwest.
Southwest. Okay. I mean, it'll still be cold and miserable, but maybe not as cold and miserable if you were going 2 hours northwest.
Got you. I feel you on that. But you know what? I'm embracing it because I got the snow boots, I got the long johns, I got the coat and everything. I'm ready to roll. So I'm ready to do my thing up
Nice.
there, cover some great sports, and get great experience. So I'm really ready for that for sure.
Where'd you go to undergrad?
Kennesaw State University.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So it's about 20 miles from Atlanta, from the heart of Atlanta, downtown. Great school, love it. And yeah, got my grad in journalism. So yeah, so I'm excited. I'm happy. And then it's gonna be a great start for sure. I gotta ask for you, how are you and your family doing during these pandemic times?
We're good. I mean, I had the Rona, but it was very like I didn't know if it was a stomach bug or if it was COVID.
Right.
And I'm on my last day of like at home quarantine. Like NBC doesn't abide by, we don't do the CDC thing where you can come back after 5 days. You
Right.
have to be gone 10. So I'm on my 10th day and I can go back to the actual office tomorrow, which is
I
nice.
know you are
But
ready.
my fiance didn't ever test positive, and like we didn't like isolate, or we only have one bathroom. We have two bedrooms but one bathroom, and like he never got it. So I guess I just am not like much of a super spreader.
Okay. Well, that's good for him that he never caught it. And then two, congratulations. When is the wedding, if you don't mind me asking?
August 27th of next year.
Okay. All right.
So
That's awesome. That's awesome for you. I'm happy for you, no doubt. And I
nice.
also want to ask you, how was your Christmas and New Year?
It was nice. I actually got back to Wisconsin. Well, I was back here in time for New Year's, and to be quarantined for COVID. But I had a little time at home with my mom. We stayed at my parents' house in like the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, and saw all my like sister. I saw my sister and my brother and my niece and my nephew and stuff. So it was nice,
Okay. I'm glad to
pretty
hear that.
relaxing. And then New Year's I was quarantined, so we stayed home. But Sean made bread that day, homemade bread. So we had homemade bread and like a lovely steak dinner. It was awesome.
That sounds delicious. That's what's up. I love that. I really do. I'm gonna just get right into it.
All right, let's do
So
it.
I want you to tell me some of your aspirations and inspirations that you might have had, and what gravitated you towards a career in sports journalism.
Well, it started honestly. I When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be like the next. I mean, I'm a lot older than you. I
You don't look it, so that's pretty
when
cool.
when I was like a young kid, I really wanted to be the next Jane Pauley, who now you might see if you watch CBS Sunday Morning, but back in the day, she was like it.
Okay.
She was the anchor on the Today Show. She was like up and coming. She was like, everybody, if you were young, that's kind of who you wanted to be.
Right.
Or at least I did. I wanted to be on the Today Show and be Jane Pauley.
Right.
And so I kind of just started off on a path where when I was in high school and really started thinking about like where I wanted to go to college and shadowing people and internships and stuff. I was torn between wanting to be a speech pathologist, an elementary education teacher,
Wow.
or a journalist.
Okay.
And my mom was like, well, you've always wanted to be a journalist. It's all you've ever talked about since you were like you were 8 years old and you were interviewing people. Wow. So I shadowed some people at a television station and just like fell in love with it. But while I was doing that and while I was in my first year of college, I just loved sports. Like I grew up really into sports. I wasn't a very good athlete. I was captain of my pom-pom squad. It's not like I was like,
okay.
Yeah, like dance team. That's what the kids call it these days. It's not like I was like, like D1 scholarship in track or anything. But I love sports. Like I grew up loving the Brewers and the Packers and the Bucks and Marquette and the Badgers and stuff. And so someone said to me like randomly one day, they're like, you know so much about sports. You should like be a sports reporter. They like let girls do that now.
Right.
And so I got an internship in the sports department at the ABC affiliate in Milwaukee, and I just loved it. And I switched gears, and the rest is history.
Wow, no, that's pretty cool that you knew from an early age that that's something that you wanted to do, and then you pursued it. And look at you now. I mean, you've been around, no doubt. MLB
Yeah.
Network, NFL Network. Your work speaks for itself. The grind speaks for itself. So I definitely respect it. That's for sure. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is because I love talking to fellow journalists, especially I would like to call you veteran or seasoned in the game.
That's fine. It'll be 22 years
right?
On air.
And I just want to bring this up again. You do not look that much older than me. I'm early 90s. So I know you probably definitely got some years on me, but I'm early 90s for sure. So
I probably got about not quite, if you're early 90s, that's when you were born, not quite 20 years on you, but close.
No, not quite. But you mentioned Wisconsin. So I'm going to think when you mention all those teams, I'm going to say the city you're from is Milwaukee, correct?
I am, yes. Like a suburb of, like I went to a place, I went to Muskego High School, which is like they actually have a really good high school. If you're in the high school football, they have a really good high school football team. They were like, I think they were state champions. Like not when I was there, we made the state championship game, but lost. And it still bothers me because we should have won. I was devastated for weeks. Right. But now they have a really good state, like a good high school program. They're like a Division I in Wisconsin, which actually has, big farm boys. We've got pretty good football. So yeah, but suburb of Milwaukee is where I grew up.
Yeah, I mentioned that because that's exactly what I'm going to be covering. A lot of prep sports while I'm there, and then also covering. We have a couple of universities in the town. The town is really small in Marshall, Minnesota. It has a population of 11,000. So yeah, it's very small. And my editor-in-chief is actually from Wisconsin.
Oh, so, really? Where? Do you know where?
Yeah, he's also right outside of Milwaukee.
Okay.
Yes, he's from there. That my editor-in-chief, he loves the Packers a lot.
Good man.
A lot. He loves the Packers. So, but he's in Minnesota. So, it's always.
Hey, you go where you can get a job.
Right. My editor-in-chief, he's like definitely old school. But he is from Milwaukee too, so I just want to throw that out there as well. So
nice, I like it. It'll be great for you to cover prep sports. It's to me, it's the best learning experience you could have.
Okay, I like that. Before I ask this next question, I do have a little bit of intrigue. How do you say your last name?
Cousin Eric.
Okay.
Cousin Eric.
Got you. Because
Yes, it's even everyone keeps laughing because everyone's very surprised when I tell them I'm going to take my fiance's last name when we get married, and I was like, wouldn't you go from cousin Eric to Casey? Like, it just seems obvious.
yeah.
Much easier.
Much easier. Okay, I like that. I like that. You went to Marquette University.
I did.
I want to know, Trenni, was there any other university that could have persuaded you from going to Marquette?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to go to the University of Missouri because I knew at the time Mizzou was a really good journalism school. I also, this will show my age. I also really wanted to go to the University of Arizona in Tucson
Wow.
because I was reading 17 magazine and they had like a huge spread on the University of Arizona. And I was like, you can take classes outside and there are pools. Like, who wouldn't want to go to college here? This looks amazing. They have a big football program. But really I actually transferred into Marquette. I got into Marquette, but chose to go to a state school with like a bunch of girls I went to high school with. We all went to kind of the same school,
Right.
lived in the same dorm. And about halfway through my time there, I didn't feel like I was getting the experience I wanted from college. Like I didn't feel super academically challenged, but also I had done an internship before I even went away to college. I interned at the ABC affiliate in Milwaukee, the same place where I did like a shadow thing the year prior.
Right.
And the assistant news director at the time said, hey, one of our guys a few years older than you, he works an associate producer job. He works on our weekends, on our assignment desk on the weekends. He's going to be living in Spain for a semester coming up next year. And so we're going to have a job open. So if you transfer, and she didn't even give me an option of any other school in the Milwaukee area. She said, if you transfer to Marquette,
right,
I'd be interested in hiring you. And so I got the ball rolling. I had also thought about transferring to the University of Wisconsin at Madison. But when push came to shove, Marquette just had a really good journalism department. And I liked the idea of being able to work in the industry right away. And I did. I mean, I worked at Channel 12 from the week of Thanksgiving. That'll tell you how fun it is to work in journalism. From the week of Thanksgiving, 1996, which was my sophomore year of college, until I left in late January of 2000, when I went to take my first on-air job in Eau Claire. And it was invaluable experience. Like I did everything from run the teleprompter, get anchor. This was back in the day when you could tell an intern to go get you dinner. Like they would send interns out or people like me, and I would like go pick up dinner for everyone at the place down the street. Go get coffee for people. I wrote copy, though. I wrote stories. I sorted scripts. This is back when like you didn't just have like an iPad in front of you. I worked on the assignment desk. So I made beat calls like every day, twice a day. When I was on the assignment desk, I would call every single police department in the Milwaukee area, the medical examiner, fire departments, like just checking up on stories. I had listened to the scanners, like old school, listening to the scanner and then sending camera crews and deciding whether or not a story was worthy or not worthy of, sending a camera crew and a reporter. Would we just do a VO, a voiceover, get video? Would you do, get sound? Would you send a reporter and go live? So it like really honed my news gathering skills. And then as I got further along in it, I started helping like produce the morning show, line producing, field producing. So like I did a little bit of everything, which I think at the end of the day is given me like a really good foundation for what I do. Now basically I just scream about sports. But if I ever needed to cover, I feel very confident that if like all of a sudden they were like, okay, we have no one else, Trenni, we need you to anchor the news on NBC 10. I could anchor the news on it because I know that world as well. Like I worked in that world also. My first real job, my first on-air job in television, like you, I worked in a really small place in Western Wisconsin. You're going to go to a small place in Minnesota. And I covered high school sports, but I also had to be a news reporter 3 days a week. So I would cover school board meetings. And I remember one of like the stories that stick out in my head. I did a story on milk prices. And I had to go to a farm, so, but all those are like, I covered it was an awful, terrible, like murder, suicide story, but it was national news, so all those things, like you really learn, like you're honing those, like really important skills of finding the story, fact checking, multiple sources, asking tough questions, being put in a difficult situation. Like it's not to say that sports is easy, but a lot of times sports is given to you. If you're covering games, it's given to you on a platter, right? There's a winner, there's a loser, there's a hero, there's a GOAT. And I don't mean greatest of all time. And that it sort of lays itself out for you. Having to do that kind of journalism, you really have to enterprise and think about what you're doing. So I think I think it's a foundation that's missing a lot for a lot of people now because it's just easier to move up faster. So I think it's great you're going to Marshall, Minnesota. I think it's going to make you a very good reporter.
Well, I appreciate that, Trenni. I do. I had several offers. Not gonna lie to you, not to like mostly brag. I'm not doing that, but I was like, okay, I knew for starters, 1, 2, 3, 1. I was like, I don't want to get lowballed. I know this is an industry that's not a lot of money, but hey, I don't want to eat top ramen every night either. You know what I'm saying? So let's not do that. But I saw Minnesota as an opportunity of going to a new state and making an impact in that community. The fact that it was small, yeah, I've only lived in big cities before because I grew up in San Diego. I was born in Chicago, and now I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. So those are three of the biggest cities that you can know. But going to a small city, it really can focus and hone in on my skills. Not a lot of distractions at all. There's not really much to do as I went up there for my visit. Yeah, it's not. So it's pretty self-explanatory to be like, okay, get better as a writer, make some great stories. I'm gonna have to do some news stories as well. That's fine.
That's awesome.
Totally perfect. I don't mind that. I want to do everything and anything I possibly can because I love this industry and I love talking to people. As you can already tell, I'm talking your ear off and I'm only asking 2 questions. So the thing is I just love this industry a lot and really love connecting with other talented people such as yourself and people that's been in the game for a while. So,
well, I hope they're paying you more than $7.25 an hour because that's what I made in my first job, $7.25 an hour.
God bless your heart, because I know if they would have offered me that, it would have been a hell no. And I would have definitely moved on to the next offer for sure.
It was like 15,000. Like I remember looking up to see how much if I qualified for food stamps, but I had made like $600 too much. Like it was like a really small amount. So instead, I had to work I worked a second job for my first 3 years in the industry. It wasn't until I moved to Pittsburgh that I finally stopped working a second job.
Wow. And the thing is, now that it's the reverse for me, because now that I've gotten into the industry, I can be like, okay, I could just work this one job. The cost of living down there is definitely low. So it's good. Now, prior to that, I graduated college this past summer, 2021. But what I was doing was working for the lottery overnight. I was working 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. So I worked 84 hours every 2 weeks. I was also covering sports for the local publications, the different prep sports. And I was also doing event security and plus still having classes as well. So I definitely know about the double jobs and stuff like that because I was like, okay, I'm trying to grind as much as I can to make as much as I can because when I go to this industry, it's going to take a dip as far as the yearly. So I was like, I know.
But if you do well, it does get better. I promise you. You will not make $7. And I know you're not going to make $7.25 an hour, but you won't make the 2022 equivalent of that forever either.
I like that, Trenni. I do. I'm going to ask you some favorite things. Okay. Off the rip, you tell me some of your favorite stuff that you like. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Favorite music genre.
It's a tie between. I mean, I'm a Scotty girl, so it's a tie between country and then like cheesy, terrible Taylor Swift pop. Like I just like to be happy, and those types of music, I can put it on and run and be happy.
Okay. No. So let me ask.
But I listen to everything. Like I listen to everything.
I figured that. I figured you probably listened to a mixture of everything, but I did think the number one genre in my mind was country when I was asking that question because you are a Wisconsin girl, and I definitely know how they are out in Wisconsin.
I didn't always like it, but in the last couple of years, like I don't know if it's just that like the world is so depressing and you can turn it on and just like turn your brain off a little bit when you listen to it. Like it makes me think of summer, and I love summer.
I love summer too. And listen, there's some really talented artists out there. You got Luke Bryan, you got Al Dean, you got Morgan. I always get his last name wrong. Waylon. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I always get his name wrong. But they're very talented artists out there. What is the one song when you're driving in your car down the streets of Boston and you gotta turn up the volume because you're singing it just singing as loud as you can, people looking at you in the car like, what the hell is she doing?
Oh man, that's so hard because I love to just be like if you ask my fiance, I'm always singing when we're in the car. Poorly, poorly. But the one song when I hear it, I have to just like crank it up. Probably this is so God, it's just so basic.
Hmm.
Um, honestly like if a Taylor Swift song comes on, I definitely and I feel like I'm too old to really be into Taylor Swift. But
Oh
like
my
if I hear
God.
like Taylor, Britney, like something again that's like dancey, poppy.
Yes.
And also though, I also am a big lover of old school 90s rap.
Mm.
And there is a very inappropriate song by Eazy-E called Give Me That Nut that I know every single word to.
I
So
laugh because I like that song.
it's a great song.
It's a
It's
great.
highly inappropriate.
It is highly inappropriate.
Highly inappropriate.
It is.
But it makes me giggle because it reminds me of being 16 and like listening to it when I knew I wasn't supposed to be listening to it, and I know every word.
I understand. I totally understand.
That
And listen,
I feel like that gives me some like street cred back, not just
that definitely gives you some credit, knowing Easy E, no doubt about that. And listen, we're gonna stop saying the word old. Okay, we're gonna say mature,
I
mature.
like that
Okay,
mature.
yes, mature. Okay, I have an aunt that's like 84 years old. That's old.
That's true. That is
That's
true.
old.
That's old. That's
Yes,
old.
yes, you are definitely
Although
mature.
these days, I feel like until you're like 90, you're not old anymore.
That's true too. That's true too. Listen, you are still doing your thing, and we're not even gonna use that word no more. Okay,
Okay.
so that's what we're gonna do for the rest of this show. All right. Let me get to the next question. Favorite movie genre?
Favorite movie genre? Um, Probably actually, which is going to be totally opposite of my music. I really like something that's like thoughtful and kind of brooding.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
um, like the movie I just saw that I was really intrigued by was called Belfast.
Hmm.
It's about like a young boy living through IRA Ireland, and it's the whole movie is like through his perception.
Wow.
Um, uh, my fiance just made me watch Magnolia the other day, which like really was like different, weird, and maybe I like stuff that like I really like when I'm done with it, it like sticks with me and like I have to like really think about it. Like there was that movie a few years ago where you didn't know if everyone was like living in a dream or or they,
Got you.
do you remember like I'm
I
also
do.
not,
I
I'll be
do.
honest, I'm like more of a TV person than I am a movie person.
Got
Like I
you.
don't
Okay.
like it's so weird. I'm one of those weird people who will rip
Was
through an
it
whole entire
Inception? Inception was a movie.
Inception. Yes. Yes. Like
Yeah.
I will sit through like 6 hours of a television series. But if you're like, well, that movie's 2.5 hours, I'm like, 2.5 hours for a movie.
Right. Right. So okay. Give me a couple TV series that you like.
Oh, well, we just started Succession, which I'm really into. I was a huge Game of Thrones person. Breaking Bad
Me
was
too.
amazing.
Oh
Breaking
my
Bad is one of
goodness,
the best
Breaking
things.
Bad was amazing.
During the pandemic, I finally watched The Wire, which was incredible. I just watched Mayor of Easttown, which is really,
Yes,
really
with Jeremy
good.
Renner. Yes.
No, no, Mayor of Easttown
Oh,
was,
East Town. Sorry, I thought you
yeah,
said
Mayor of
Kingstown.
Easttown is Kate Winslet.
Okay.
And she's a small town detective and she like follows this murder and it takes all these twists and turns. It was really, really good.
Okay.
Billions, like all those types of like
Mm.
intrigue and not necessarily mystery, but just like bad behavior. Like I loved Mad Men. Again, like something that's sort of like reflective of society. And while you're watching it, it really makes you think. But on a positive note, I also really loved there was a show like on a like lighter stuff. I loved The Good Place, was really like sweet and thoughtful and funny.
Okay.
Um, Ted Lasso, I love Schitt's Creek. I loved like series television. I think is just having like a heyday, and I can watch a TV
I
series.
like that.
Also, Emily in Paris. If you want something totally mindless but like super fun, and you like
Right.
to travel, Emily in Paris is great.
I'm with you on the Ted Lasso. Love that. I got a new show that I started watching called The Witcher. Um,
Oh, I think I saw something for that.
yeah, I was like, okay, that show got me interested. I was like, okay, I'm cool. Mayor
Yeah.
of Kingstown, that was interesting from the show that I watched because Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner is the lead man in that series. So I love that series too. But yeah, we got some good taste here. I like that
Yeah.
too. Three more favorites. Favorite
Okay.
meal you like to cook?
Favorite meal I like to cook. Actually, I'm pretty good. I don't screw it up very often. I usually get it right. I like to cook something that's like I like making pork because it's a challenge because you have to cook pork just right. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
gets too dry. There's a lot of things you can do with it and make it simple. And I love making a good, creamy, buttery, milky mashed potato on the side. And
Okay.
then like just firing up some like asparagus and olive oil and salt and pepper, like very simple, but very like satisfying.
I like that. Do you like when we're talking about meat? Do you like it medium rare, well done? How do
Oh
you like
yeah, medium rare. I'm a yes for pork, but definitely steak. Steak, I'm definitely medium rare. Like I love a good steak. I'm just not always great at cooking steak.
it?
Like
Yeah.
steak is very finicky. At least like pork, I can put in the oven
Right.
and I can check it and I can put a little thermometer in it and I know if it's like perfect, like good in the center or
Right.
not. Like I made like a pork tenderloin the other night with like a mustard and something else, sort of like
Oh
sauce
my
on it.
goodness.
Um, but yeah, I'm an okay. I'm not like a great cook. Like I can follow a recipe usually, not like I'm making
Right.
some
Right.
enchiladas tonight, so we'll see how those enchiladas turn out.
Well, Trenni, I'm gonna have to
Probably
go
more
get
of a
some.
breakfast gal. Probably more of a breakfast gal.
Me too. I was gonna say
It's
that. I was
easier.
gonna say I'm much more French toast, pancakes, waffles. I have a waffle maker. I'm taking down to Minnesota, for sure. So definitely, if you see me, I don't know if you're on IG or if you're on Twitter or social media, but if you do follow me, like I do follow you, you'll see some photos of me cooking for sure.
All right, sounds
For
good.
sure. Let me get two more in.
Okay.
Favorite place you ever traveled to?
Oh, this is my favorite question because I love to travel. Um, my favorite place is probably still of all the places I've been. I loved India. I just was fascinated by India. I was in the northern part, so like New Delhi, Rishikesh,
Wow.
um, Agra, like that area.
Yeah.
It just was one. It was an attack on the senses. Like that's always how I will describe it. There are so many people. It's very rich people, very poor people, tons of smells and sights and colors and sounds. And it's this incredibly old and proud culture. It was challenging. It wasn't an easy trip. Sometimes it was very frustrating and sad, but like I learned like so much I had a pretty long time there. I actually volunteered there for a little bit.
Okay. I
But
like that.
I recently went to South Africa, which I really, really liked.
Yeah.
Southeast Asia is amazing. And I love Europe too. Like I just love to, I like history. I like wine and food. And I just think that the
Mm,
world is a really amazing place. And
it
the
is.
more places you go and the more people you're exposed to, it just sort of challenges your perceptions of things and opens your mind to a lot of stuff.
Without question. And I love to travel too. I haven't done much international traveling outside of
It's
Mexico,
okay.
but
I didn't start till after I got out of that $7.25 job. It took a little while.
I figured that. I
Took a
figured you
while.
probably started after that. This is true. That's awesome.
And it's also great to go like you don't have to spend, thousands and thousands of dollars going places. Like hop in a car and take a road trip across America. Like expose yourself to like people who are different.
I'm actually driving up to Minnesota. That's actually what
So
I'm doing.
I hope you get good weather for that. Also,
Yeah,
maybe get some snow tires for your car.
yeah, I got some heavy duty tires because Georgia really doesn't believe in snow tires, but
Yeah.
heavy duty, definitely got that. But I'll be traveling through, Tennessee, Illinois, Iowa, and
Oh,
then yeah, because we're close to South Dakota. We're about an hour away from South Dakota, Sioux Falls. So that's how close we are.
Oh, so you should definitely, when you have a little free time, one of the most beautiful places in the United States I've ever been is like west of Sioux Falls. So if you go like into Rapid City, where Mount Rushmore and the Badlands, and then if you continue west into Montana and Wyoming, oh my God, they're like to me, Montana and Wyoming are two of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Like it's the mountains are so majestic and the
Yeah,
wildlife and it's definitely different. It's definitely different than what you're used to if you live in a big city.
no doubt.
Different kind of mentality out there. But it is like stunning natural beauty.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind. I appreciate that 411. I really do.
I've never been in North Dakota. You should sneak
No,
up to North Dakota. Check it off your list. Not a whole lot of reasons to go there, so you should probably get there and just check it off your list.
okay, I definitely will. Definitely will. I appreciate that. Last favorite, which is favorite alcoholic drink.
Ooh, favorite alcoholic drink. I mean, probably a good wine would be like a really good Pinot Noir. Burgundy is probably like if I could have nothing else, and I was told like I could never have it again unless I kept drinking that. I'd probably choose that. But
Right.
otherwise, I love just a good straight up vodka martini,
Ooh.
a little twist of lemon. Like I love a good crisp vodka martini.
If I'm going light, definitely vodka. I'm a vodka cranberry guy. I do like that. If I'm going dark, I gotta have my VSOP and my Hennessy. I gotta have it.
Oh,
I
I
gotta
don't
have
ever had that.
it.
I definitely like a good scotch. I like a good scotch now and again. I like a good sipper.
Yes.
I'm from Wisconsin, so brandy old fashioned I'll have every once in a while. But
Absolutely.
bourbon old fashions, if I'm being honest, bourbon old fashions are better.
Absolutely. I can understand that. I really do. Wine. Now I do like red wine, but I've heard when you drink wine, it depends on the season. Like, certain seasons you gotta have red, certain seasons you gotta have white. Is there any truth to that?
I prefer white in the summer because it is crisp, it's cold, it's usually chilled. There's something about red wine that feels like, especially like a big red wine, like maybe a Nebbiolo or a Zinfandel or a Cabernet that's like a bigger, bolder, like that's so good for like the dead of winter.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think you should just drink whatever you want, whenever you
That's
want.
I like to drink whatever the hell I want to. I definitely do.
Like if it's the middle of winter and you want a glass of white wine, have a glass of white wine.
I'm with
Turn
it.
up your
I'm
heat.
with it. I like that Cabernet that you talked about. That Cabernet is pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I want to
I'm
talk.
I'm an old world wine more than the new world. I like European wines more than but I like say California or Napa. The
Oh, yeah.
Oregon and Washington, sneaky good wines.
I've heard of that, and that is also on the bucket list. I've never been to Oregon or Washington, so I definitely want to go there and see about that.
My friend is the mayor of White Salmon, Washington. She used to be in sports journalism and then relocated. So if you ever want to visit White Salmon, Washington, which is right across the river from Hood River, Oregon, it's a beautiful part of the country. Tons of great wineries. You just let me know.
I certainly will. I'll hit you up. That's for damn sure. Because I love some wine. That's for sure. I want to ask you about Boston. Boston is such a historic town for sports. Obviously, with me growing up in California, Lakers Celtics is just one of the hugest rivalries ever. We were always taught to hate the Celtics, especially being out there in the West Coast. But not only the Celtics, but the Patriots, the Bruins, the Red Sox. I had a friend in the industry that I talked to in this kind of same capacity that actually worked for NBC Boston, but she was in news. Her name was Audrey Asifio.
Oh yeah, I know Audrey. I know
you know
her
Audrey.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's awesome.
So yeah, she's a good friend of mine, and I told her I made a post about my news, and she congratulated me as well. And she's somebody who is gonna come back on here as well and rock with me because now she's in the Bay Area. So now she's doing the thing.
Yeah, she's at the NBC out in the Bay Area.
Absolutely.
We were sad to lose her, but I understood why. Our kid, that's where her family is from. So.
Absolutely. So I want to know from your perspective, what does being in Boston and being a sports reporter, sports anchor mean to you covering some of these teams?
I mean, if to me, it's like the pinnacle, right? Like if you're not gonna, if you are not gonna be at the network level, like to me, there are very few places that are sort of legacy places to work as a sports journalist, and Boston's at the top of that list.
Right.
It's always a national teams here are always a national story. If they're good, they're a national story because they're perennially good here. If they're bad, they're a story because why are they bad, right? Like everybody talks about them. They're everyone's rivals. People love to hate them.
Yeah.
It's a really passionate sport, like fan base too, for being such a cultured, and it really is a cultured, educated city. I mean, sports are big here, but so was like Harvard, right? I mean, there's just like MIT, like there's this total dichotomy of people who are really into arts and things, but yet there's such a stronghold
Right.
For sports fans. Like it's a really great, like people are passionate, people care. Sometimes they really let you know how passionate they are and how dumb they think you are.
Right.
Um, but it's great. Like it's there's never a dull moment. Like every time you think you're gonna hit a lull,
Right.
something happens and it's like very quickly becomes an exciting place to be again. And it's
I
just a
love
great city. I really like living here. It's like the perfect mix of like a really big city without being overwhelmingly big.
I love that. I really do. And it's a great segue to this question because I would like to know your top four things. What should I do as far as the top four things of what to do in Boston when I come there? I've never been to the city of Boston, but I keep hearing about how great this city is. So I'm intrigued. I definitely want to go.
Okay, so top four things to do if you're in Boston. I love history, so I love when people come here. I like doing that. You could do the Freedom Trail walk, which is great, right? Like it's
I
kitschy and
love trails.
touristy.
Hmm.
However, I like to take people on a historical bar crawl, and you start like, and that way you see all the things on the Freedom Trail, but you're like going to all these. There's so many like really cool old bars, like places that have been around since like the 17 or 1800s, and they have
I
history
like that.
within them. Just a little different, a little something fun and
Okay.
different to do. My other top attraction, and this is super dorky, but I love it, and I'm always psyched when people come and want to do it. I love going on a whale watch. Whale watching is amazing.
Okay.
It's like it's beautiful. You're out on the water and you see these unbelievably majestic creatures. And if you're lucky and you have like a really nice day, you might also see like a school of dolphins or other, boats, and you're just out on the water and it's like lovely. But I love a good whale watch. I would say just walking through the city and like um taking in, like the tiny little side streets in Beacon Hill or the North End. Like having a drink now that there's sidewalk cafes everywhere because of
Yeah.
COVID, that was like one positive. Just
Right.
sitting out and people watching. Like I live in the North End, and what I like about this neighborhood is that you can be walking through and hear, a little bit like how it is like in New York, like all these different languages. Like you can go to a coffee shop in the North End and there are old North Enders who still speak only Italian to each other.
I love it.
Um, and I like that to me is really great. And then I would say also, if you're going to be in Boston, you might as well go to Fenway Park because
Man.
I mean, I know that you were born in Chicago, so I don't know, maybe you're a Cubs fan. I always felt like Wrigley Field was a total dump. That's probably partially because I'm a huge Brewers fan. So
I
anything
understand.
like it doesn't matter if it's a cathedral. I'm always like, blah, it's Wrigley, it's the Cubs. But I will say they've done a really nice job of like keeping Fenway with a historical nostalgic charm while also keeping it up to date enough that you don't feel like it's like falling apart at the seams.
Right.
And it's a great area. There's lots of really great restaurants and bars. Like you can do everything from get like a burger at a sports bar to eat at like, a restaurant from a chef who's on the Food Network or like a really great natural wine bar in the area. Like there's just lots of really cool things to do in the area too. So
I love that. I really do. I love your top four things. And yes, my family's huge Cubs fans.
boo.
I'm a secondary Cubs fan because my first team actually is the Padres.
All right.
Actually,
I can,
yes, I'm a Padres guy growing up in San Diego for sure with Tony Gwynn, Ken Caminiti, Steve Finley. I can bore you with the names. I'm not going to.
okay.
But yes, those things and attractions really attract me to that city. And I'm one of these days I'm gonna fly into Logan Airport. One of these days I'm gonna fly into Logan Airport, and I'm definitely going to just take a few days and really tour the city. I have to hit you up when I'm touchdown. That's for sure.
Definitely. So
That's for
I
sure.
like it. It's a cool city. My family loves to come visit. So
That's awesome. That is awesome. This next question that I have for you is about you graduate Marquette in 2000 or late 99, early
99.
2000.
Yep. 99.
So you graduate then, and then you get your first job, as you talked about, in a small town in Wisconsin. I want to know, what did you learn from that first job that you have that you actually take with you still today?
Oh, I think I learned a lot of the skills that I used today in that first job. I mean, one, you learn how to just kind of be self-sufficient, right? You don't have a lot of resources at that level.
Right.
So I had to write my own sportscast, produce my own sportscast, edit my own video, shoot my own video. So now, even though I have people who do that for me now, like we have producers, we have editors, we have photographers, I can look at our entire show from a more macro level.
Yeah.
Like, just before we talked, I called my producer, about our show today, and we talked through some of the ways we wanted to stack our rundown and the timing of it and what topics we wanted to hit and why I thought we should do something one way versus the other. And I feel qualified to do that because I had to produce once.
Right.
And I feel like I really learned how to be a better interviewer. I mean, that's something that's always evolving. Like, I think you're always, the more life experience you have, I think the better interviewer you become.
Without
And
question.
I think, you'll find this when you start your job in Minnesota in a couple of weeks, is that when you have to interview, when you interview high level college athletes or obviously pro athletes, 9 out of 10 of those athletes have some media training. They've been in the spotlight for a long time.
Right.
Now, stuff is so ubiquitous that they can see interviews with other pro athletes on TV and sort of learn how to answer questions. But when you have to go to a high school swim meet or a high school soccer game or a
Right.
volleyball match, and these aren't kids who are,
Media trained.
they're not media trained. That
Right.
they don't have a chance to go to the University of Minnesota on a basketball or a football or a hockey scholarship, right?
Right.
So they haven't
Right.
been in this system. You can't get away with asking them an open-ended yes or no question because they will
Right.
just say yes or no. You ask a
Right.
pro athlete a yes or no question, he or she will expand on it.
Right.
So you really have to think about the questions you're going to ask, how you're going to ask them to elicit, to get not the reaction that you want, but to get a good, authentic answer from them.
Right. Right. Because you want to be able to have content to use.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, a yes or no answer does not give you a good quotation for your, for your story the next day. And it also allows you, I think, to learn at a really low stakes level, how to begin to develop, working relationships with people. Not that you're going to need to be sourcing
right.
necessarily, something at that level, but maybe there is a kid who is a really good soccer player and might be the first from that area to get a D1 scholarship somewhere, or might be the first person to have an opportunity to go play for an Ivy League school or something. And, you can cultivate that. And then maybe you break the story of where they're going to go to school, or you
Yes.
follow them through their career. And I just think it's a really, it's a good way. It's a good way to learn what to do, but it's also a good place to learn what not to do.
Right.
You learn very early on in a young career, if you make a mistake at that level, they understand because you're young and it's your first job. So they don't expect you to know everything.
Right.
But that margin for error gets smaller and smaller the bigger city you move to.
Right.
So there are things I did when I was, a 22-year-old right out of college working in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, that I would never do now. And you learn, and it's okay. And those mistakes, they don't cost you. They don't cost you your career. Although I also didn't grow up in a time of Twitter and Instagram when everyone can see your mistakes. So I don't know, maybe
Right.
that's changed.
Well, I totally understand that, and like you said, the best teacher is experience. And I'm glad that you learned those things as far as being a better interviewer as well. And you're right. I've been thinking about that in my mind, covering some of these prep sports that I've done here in Georgia, going to some of the games, trying to ask really thorough type of questions that would elicit a response. So that way I wouldn't get, yeah, no,
Yeah.
one of those kind of responses, because like I said, it's just bad content. You really can't use those kind of things in your articles that you write. And going up to Minnesota, working with the publication, they actually print their own newspaper. I went to the back and I was like, wow, this is something different. Like, they actually print their own stuff. And I'm like, I've never ever seen that before. And this is just a very old school kind of throwback kind of town where everybody knows your name like Cheers. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, I'm going from the big city to the small city. It's almost like a movie. I mean, when I arrived there, I thought I was in Home Alone. I mean, all the houses was lit up and everything, and it was white snow everywhere. It was like, man, this is something different. So I totally understand what you're talking about as far as that first job and taking advantage of what you learned applying to today. I want to talk to you about mental health, Trent. And the reason why I want to talk to you about this is because I think it's even more important in sports and journalism at workplaces. I think it's important that bosses take more importance of mental health, and I think they are now because it was looked at as being soft when you talked about stuff like that and not very important, and people was getting looked at all different kind of ways. Now, obviously, like I said, you very seasoned into the game and you know kind of what your schedule is. But I want to ask you with balance. You know, you do have a fiance, you do have friends, you do have family, you do have a life outside of NBC Sports Boston. So how do you balance your work life and your social life, but also still maintain good mental health? Because you're giving everybody your time, but you still need Trinity time too.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's a lot easier, the more mature, we won't say older, the more mature you get,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So where I am now at 44 years old and I have a Monday through Friday schedule. I know what time my show is going to be on every single day. Are there days where Danny Ainge steps down and suddenly I've got to scramble and get into work quickly because there's like just a complete upheaval within the Celtics organization? Sure. Are there times we go to the Super Bowl and you're working really long hours and long days? Absolutely. But for the most part, my life is pretty scheduled, a little bit more predictable now. It was a lot harder earlier in my career.
Okay.
You didn't want to say no to things. Like I now, if somebody says, hey, can you do a podcast or, we want someone to fill in on this show. And if I don't want to do it, I don't feel like I have to say yes because
Right.
like that opportunity is never going to come around again. But in my 20s and 30s, I said yes to a lot, probably too much. And I said yes even to jobs that didn't feel right because I was afraid of saying no.
Right.
And I think that, if there's one thing that I wish that I would have known as a younger person and how to balance things, that it's not so much about working less, but working more thoughtfully.
Okay. Smart.
So you're gonna like the reality is if you work in journalism or you work in any, I think now, and again, this might be my maturity showing a little bit, my age showing a little bit. This
Okay.
idea that like, and I love your generation's thoughtfulness about work-life balance, but it's not always going to be a 35 to 40 hour work week. And it's just going to be easy and cut and dry. And I need my
Right.
employer to always understand that, well, if I need a day, I need a day. Like you also have to learn how to push through sometimes
Right.
because that's part of life. Right. But I do think that we could do a better job as a society of not making people feel like no is going to cost them their career.
Absolutely.
And so, if looking back, there were times when I didn't mind missing something. Like it was, it was fine that I couldn't make a wedding or a birthday party or a dinner or something for someone because that was the nature of my industry, and I understood that. But I think more often than not, sometimes I said yes to things that I didn't really care about doing or wanted to do.
Right.
For the simple fact that it was like, well, if I say no, will they find someone else and will I miss out?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think, weighing the is this really going to be beneficial for me? Am I doing this just to say that I did it? Is it really helpful? Is it going to stress me out more than it's worth? Then I
Right.
think it's okay to say no, but say maybe next time. Which is hard. It's not, it's not easy to do when you're younger. Because you're trying really hard to prove your worth in something.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, I don't know if that was a very good answer. That was a little bit meandering, but it's hard. It's not easy. And again, it becomes easier with the more, with the more tenure you have.
Right.
Like now, if I can't do something at work, I just say no. Like no, I'm
And
not
it's
going to do
all
that.
good. It's all good.
It's all good. But I also don't say no all the time because after
Right.
a while, you also have to sometimes say yes to things. Like,
Yes.
Do I necessarily want to do some of the things that they ask me to do sometimes, the
Mm-hmm.
extra stuff? Well, no, it's quite frank, it's a pain in my ass.
I feel it.
Like, but you can't always expect other people to do it for you also. Like if you know, I think that it's in a good collaborative work environment. If someone needs you to help them out, because you might need them to help you out down the line.
Right. Yeah, that's a great answer, Trinity. It really is. And the reason why I definitely asked that is because I am somebody that wants to prove to the masses, to the bosses, that you made the right decision in selecting it. And one of the things that you do by proving that is saying yes to a lot of things. But I also had a different mentality coming into it. It was like, I want to say yes to a lot of things, but I also don't want to be a doormat. I don't want somebody to walk all over me. I don't want somebody to feel like, well, you know what? We'll just get Chris to do it because, hey, he's always said yes to it. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to kind of channel that balance of when is it the right time to say.
And I think, again, I think everything comes with like a little bit of time and understanding, like a self-assurance, but like I know when I'm pushing too much and I get burnt out. Like I know I'm not as good at what I do. I know when I'm in need of a vacation. I know when I need a mental break.
Right.
And I think it's okay to say, hey, normally I would say yes to this band, but I feel really burnt out and I know I'm not going to do the best job at it. So I can't, can we try to schedule this, for some other time? Or
I like that.
And can I or just, I think there's something in just saying, hey, I can't do it. Like you don't owe people an explanation.
Right. All right. And
use your days off. Use your days off. Like days off are part of your compensation.
Absolutely.
Give your brain a break.
I love that. I love that you said that. I really do. And I had a lot of trouble with my senior. Last year I was, graduating, and it was tough because my sports editor would ask me to do things, and I'm saying yes, and then I want to go and turn up at the bar as well because I'm like, okay, I want to have a drink, I want to chill with my friends, I want to have a good time. But my friends was in the business, 9 to 5. And this sports journalism thing, there is no such thing as a 9 to 5. We have deadlines, we have breaking news. That stuff happens at all different kind of times of the day. You have games that go long, and it's like they didn't understand that. And that was the first time I really had to understand, like, you know what? The real one, the day one, as we like to call them, you know what I'm saying? Your day one is going to understand what your schedule is about, and they're going to stick with you. And then you just have to let some people go and some things go that don't understand that this is what you want to do, and this is your dream, and this is your profession. So I like that answer. I really do.
And to be quite honest, when you're like in your 20s and 30s, you have like a ton of energy. So like you can kind of get away with you can kind of burn the candle at both ends. You can party, you can work hard, party hard. You hit a certain age and suddenly it gets
I like
harder
that. That is the name of this podcast. So that's what we do. No doubt about it. Absolutely. Work hard, play hard. I want to do this or that with you. I want to throw two things out there, and I want you to tell me which one would you choose. Okay. Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Thanksgiving.
Drive-ins or movie theaters?
Drive-in.
Oh, okay. I like that. You're one of the first few people that
Nostalgia.
Yeah, I like that. Popeyes or KFC?
Do you know I've never had Popeyes? And I want to
God.
All I want is a Popeyes chicken sandwich. And I've never had one. I went to get one once and the line was so long. So, but I'm still choosing Popeyes because everyone raves about it.
I got you. Listen, if I don't get to you first and buy you your first sandwich first, please tell fiance to hook you up. Please go there in Boston, buy you a Popeyes, a 2-piece and a biscuit. It would change your life having some Popeyes. Okay. You'll never choose KFC again. I'm just saying, throw that out there. Okay. MJ or LeBron?
MJ.
Got you. Brady or Montana? I think I know where you're going with this
one. Brady.
I figured. Okay.
I almost want Montana because that's like more like who I grew up watching, but man, Brady's unbelievable to watch.
Man, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT for a reason. He is that. Wisconsin or Boston?
Oh, why do you have to make me choose?
We ask tough questions on here, Trenni. We do. We work hard, play hard. That's what we do.
At this point, where I am, I clearly am choosing Boston.
Okay, so listen, that's a 51-49 split, okay?
It is a 51-49 split, but I really love living here. So
I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. Basketball or football?
football,
Baseball or softball?
baseball.
Two more. Bowling or badminton?
Oh, bowling. I'm from Wisconsin. My brother-in-law is a semi-professional bowler. I love to bowl. I have
Oh,
my own
oh so,
ball.
so you can bowl.
I mean, I can. I'm not good at it, but I can.
Listen, I like to bowl as well. I'm not very good. I think I've
It's
put the
hard.
digits.
It is harder than
It's
people
hard.
think. It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah. But I will say this: I'll never use no damn bumpers. That's for sure. Not gonna do that. But we'll just gutter it all night long. I will not use bumpers. That's for sure. This last one is about chicken wing flavors. It's barbecue or lemon pepper.
I'm Buffalo. How is that not even a possibility? Both of your options are wrong.
Oh my gosh. Buffalo. So you like it hot. You like a
Hot.
little kick.
Oh, I like it hot and spicy.
Wow. Okay. We'll
But
let
if
you
I had
roll
to
with
choose,
that.
then I guess I'd probably go lemon pepper.
I got you. But Buffalo, a little bit kick to it. I like Buffalo barbecue, like Buffalo honey barbecue, but I can't do the kick. That lemon pepper is my thing. I like it. That's what I like.
Buffalo's not even an option.
I,
Jeez.
I feel it. I feel it.
What kind of question is that, Chris?
I love that. That's awesome. Okay, you've done production. You've done video editor as well. You've also been a sideline reporter, I believe.
Yep.
You've been a anchor, and you've also been a reporter, and you're also a writer. Because I've read a couple of your articles that you wrote, especially the one about Newton and Gilmore. That one that you wrote last year, I read that one. I thought that one was pretty good. I like reading other people's writing. I think that's the way that you get better. But I want to ask this question. What do you like to do the most out of all those positions? What do you like to do the least?
Writing the least, because it just doesn't come out. Like it's like not my thing has always been like more presenting.
Right.
And it's like writing's hard. People don't realize it takes me forever and I have to really think about it. I want to make sure my grammar is like it's like a whole different level. And I have so much respect for our writers who do it every single day and like write long pieces. And report it out, and it's unbelievable. But if I think at my heart though, my favorite is probably still being a reporter. And it's a harder life. You know, you're at the games and it's late, it's like weird hours, and some days, you know, the payoff is not very much because maybe your story gets cut or you're only on TV for like 3 minutes, you know, in a 2-hour show. But I I always loved being in the thick of the action and being able to talk to people and develop those relationships. Like if it wasn't such a grind, I think I could be that. I loved being a reporter.
That's ultimately what my goal is. I would love to do some kind of reporting where I'm at the games, writing about it, eventually be on radio, in front of the TV at times. But I would love to just be at the games every single night. I don't care if it's hockey,
you say that
football.
now.
I know, right? I know it. I know it. I'm just a sports junkie. I really am. So I really love to. I watch them all the time, so I might as well make money instead of watching them for free. To be able to make some money and write some good articles as well. So I would love that for sure. I got 3 more questions for you.
Okay.
Now, top 4. I would like to have your top 4 events that you would like to cover or that you have covered in your career.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because thankfully I've covered quite a bit. My ultimate favorite, I love doing the Olympics. It's been such an honor to do 4 Olympics for NBC.
Yeah.
So I put and it combines my 2 favorite things, reporting and traveling. So Olympics is 1.
Okay.
Super Bowl's 2. Only because there's just such cool pomp and circumstance. Like the whole week leading up is so amazing. You know, you've got like Radio Row and you do your shows and you go to the, you know, the media availability. There's parties. It's a cool, and then, you know, if you're lucky enough to stay and cover the game, Like it's the biggest, most watched television event, and it's incredible, and it's just
Yes,
cool
it
to
is.
be in there and like experience it. So I feel super blessed that I've been to, I think, 2 or 3 of them now. World Series #3, because I love baseball.
So do I.
And
Yep.
it's just it's again it's like it's stretched out, right? Like you just get this very cool experience of being on these flights with all the other reporters, and you're flying sometimes cross country like we did a few years ago for the Sox and the Dodgers, and when they win, it's just such an incredible thing to experience, the champagne and the excitement, and
Right.
I love it. I love the World Series. And then something I haven't covered, and I think would be very cool to cover.
Yeah.
I'd love to do like a World Cup,
Oh, wow.
like soccer. Like I've never
Yeah.
been able to see an international soccer match in person. But I think like a World Cup would be cool because it would combine like that national pride with a really high level sport, and a sport that is like beloved worldwide. And it's something that only happens every 4 years, like the Olympics. So there's something special about a World Cup.
Right. I think we're bidding at the US for 2026 World Cup, if
Yeah,
I'm not
there.
mistaken.
The Kraft family is trying to get some of the games in Foxborough. So
Absolutely. That makes sense. That would be awesome. That would be great. Was you here in the Super Bowl for the Patriots and the Rams here in Atlanta?
yes, I was. I didn't stay for the game. I had to come back, but I was there for the whole week
You
leading
was
up.
there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely one of the most boring games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
But
it was. It was. I actually
but
saw. Do you know which Patriots one I saw in person? I covered the 28-3 comeback in Houston against the Falcons. And do you know where I watched? Do you know where I watched the final play of that game in overtime?
I would say at
In
the goal line.
No, because you're not allowed onto the field, because there are
Oh,
such strict rules about who they allow on the field, and you can't go
wow.
on till after all of this stuff happens. So I was standing in a line in a putrid brown vest that allowed me to get on the field afterwards, while watching my producer's wife FaceTime us the game on TV, because the TVs in the bowels of the stadium didn't work. So I
Wow.
watched it on a phone from a TV.
That's crazy. Wow. What's going on? Houston? Ohio
Glamorous.
State?
See, look at the glamorous life you're lining yourself up
I'm
for.
seeing. I'm seeing. But hey, listen, it's pretty glamorous when you hit that field and they won 34-28, that
Yes,
Brown Best. That's
yes,
for
that part
sure.
is cool.
Yes. People are still not over that. Here. They're not. It's pretty depressing when you bring it up because people just always talk about the
I'm not gonna lie.
Philadelphia.
For a second, I forgot you were calling me from Georgia. So sorry
Yes,
about that.
yes. But it's okay. That's totally fine. I was rooting for Atlanta, no doubt about it, because I respect Brady, but I can't like Brady because he beat my Chargers so many times. And
I didn't like him last year when he beat my Packers, so I
see,
feel you.
there you go. So and I guess what? My Super Bowl predictions were the Packers and the Bills for this year's
Oh,
Super Bowl. Yes.
mine was Packers Chiefs, so we'll see.
Packers Chiefs. Okay, got you. I thought the Bills would be a team to come back since they lost an AFC Championship. I thought they would have enough to come back and kind of dethrone the Chiefs. They did smack them pretty good in the season. So we'll have to see if they got enough manpower to overtake the Chiefs. But I definitely had the Packers coming out the NFC because for the same reason, them losing twice now in the NFC Championship back-to-back years, and then getting the number one seed again. I'm thinking, man, I mean, damn, we don't do it this year, A-Rod. A-Rod? What's going on? Like, you gotta get
I
over
know.
the hump at some point. So
Tell me about it.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. This last question I'm gonna get you out of here on here, Trenni, is about advice. I would like to know what advice has someone gave you or you have advocated to someone about being in this sports media industry that you hold on dearly to?
Okay, it's great advice from the one and only columnist Dan Shaughnessy. Do not be lazy with your questions. Don't ask someone to talk about it. Talk about is not a question. Talk about as a lazy way. Tell me about that touchdown. It's not a question. You're copping out. Ask questions and get answers. Do not say, do not assume something of someone when you ask a question. How impressed were you with Jaylen Brown's performance if you're interviewing Ime Udoka? What did you see from Jaylen Brown tonight? What did Mac Jones do on the field? Why did Mac Jones, how was he able to lead you to a victory? Don't say how impressed were you with that he led you to a victory. Maybe they weren't impressed. But don't assume that maybe they weren't excited. How excited are you to see so-and-so have a good season? Maybe they're not excited. Maybe deep down they hate that person. Ask them a question that gives them an opportunity to tell you what they think. Don't think for them. And it's hard. It's so hard. I screw it up all the time. And I catch myself doing it all the time because it's such an easy crutch. But Dan Shaughnessy has hammered that into me like nobody's business. And it's something I always think about when I'm watching people on TV. And now it grates on me like nails on a chalkboard.
I love it. No, I like that. Don't say talk about, ask questions.
Ask questions.
I like
and
that.
Don't assume someone's emotion about something. That's why I don't actually mind like, what are your emotions right now? Or how are you feeling right now? Like, obviously you're happy about something. So it does seem like a little bit of a cop out. Like, of course you're happy you won a Super Bowl.
Right.
But, asking someone like, now that you've done it, what does it feel like to win a Super Bowl is different than how does it feel to win the Super Bowl, right?
Exactly.
Because you do want someone, like, if you say to someone, now that you've done it, what does it feel like to win a Super Bowl? Or in Tom Brady's case, what does it feel like to be the best? Like, how does that, when someone says that to you, what does that make you feel?
Right.
You might get a really amazing answer from it. But, how excited are you or how proud are you? I don't know. Maybe they're not excited or proud.
No, you're totally right. I love that. I really do. Because I find myself, Dan Shaughnessy, I like that. I find myself asking questions like that sometimes to some of the prep players after the game. Talk
it's
to
okay.
me about,
we all do it. Everybody does it. But I hope you'll be like me and you'll catch yourself and you'll do it less and less.
I certainly will. There's no question about that. And being in Minnesota, where it's going to be cold, I'm definitely going to have my questions on point. I don't want to be standing outside too long trying to ask these questions. That's for sure.
No, you do not. No, you do not.
As I mentioned to you before, I am on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I am on also Twitter. I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on Twitter as well. And I also follow you on LinkedIn. Those are my three main sites that I connect with people. And I also get my content out there as well. Trenni, this has been an absolute blast. I know you have a Celtics-Knicks game tonight. That's coming on a little bit later for sure.
I got my show first, but then
absolutely. Which I'm gonna have to dial in and watch the show if there's any way that I possibly could from over here. That would be great. That'd be awesome because I love some of your.
I don't know.
I love some of the work that you do. I really do. I actually YouTubed you a lot, and
oh boy,
yeah, I did, and watched some of your stuff, and you were great. You were awesome. I always conclude my podcast like this. Is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
Nothing other than good luck to you in Minnesota. Something tells me you're going to be very successful, and I'm going to be like begging you to come on something I'm doing in the years to come.
I love that. I love to hear you say that. Please stay in touch. If I ever touch down in Beantown, you know who I'm hitting up. That's
let me know.
And you take care. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. And I'm gonna say go Celtics for this time because I did not like the Knicks.
Okay.
So I'm hoping
that's
that
fair.
you win. No
That's
doubt.
fair.
You take care.
Chris, it was nice. It was nice talking to you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, Trenni. You take care. Okay. Bye.